If your child is afraid to be alone, well, they may eventually choose the wrong people just to avoid it. And that's why one of the most important things that you can do as their parent is teach your child how to be completely comfortable by themselves. Now, look, I'm not talking about raising a child who's isolated or doesn't have friends or is antisocial. I'm talking about raising a kid who can enjoy other people, enjoy spending time with their friends, but who doesn't need those other people around them just to feel okay. Because by the end of this video, I want to show you why that matters so much, especially as they get older. And there's a few simple things that you can start doing right now to help them build that independence. This is something I've been thinking about quite a bit lately because, think about it. The world that our kids are growing up in right now, they almost never have to be alone, right? If they're bored for 30 seconds or less, they've got a phone, right? They've got TikTok, they've got YouTube, they've got video games, they've got video calls, group chats, all sorts of connection. They've got somebody texting them. There's always something. They're connected 24/7, and there's always somebody that will, be there with them. And, I'm not going to be one of these people who sits here and says that everything was better 20 or 30 years ago. It wasn't. But the difference was that we got bored. We got really bored. And our parents didn't necessarily care, right? You could walk into the living room and say to your parents, "I'm bored." Your parents weren't immediately trying to figure out how to entertain you, or, they wouldn't give you something to do. They'd basically tell you, "Okay, go find something to do." And somehow we did. Right? We went outside, we rode our bikes, we'd sit down and draw something. Okay? We'd read. Reading was a big hobby, right? Sometimes we just sit there until we finally figured something out. But looking back on it now, there was actually something pretty important happening. We were learning how to entertain ourselves. Okay? We were learning how to think. We were learning how to exist without somebody else constantly giving us, stimulation. And, I really believe kids still need that. So obviously I'm not saying kids shouldn't have friends. Obviously that's not what I'm saying. Of course they should have kids. But, and I'm not saying they shouldn't go to parties or play video games with their friends or text each other. Of course they should do all those things. That's part of growing up. Human beings are social animals. We need other people. But there's a big difference between wanting people in your life at a particular moment and feeling like you can't function without people around you. And that's the part I think that parents need to pay attention to. Because, eventually your kid is going to end up in a situation where being alone might actually be the better option, right? They might be with a group of friends, and everybody starts doing something they know they shouldn't be doing. And that's a situation we've all been in, right? Maybe they're being pressured to drink alcohol. Maybe somebody in the party is using drugs and saying, "Hey, try it." Maybe the group is bullying another kid, or they're being pressured sexually, right? All these things can happen. It might just be that they're hanging around people who are constantly getting them into trouble, even minor trouble, right? Or maybe later on, they're in a relationship with somebody who treats them terribly. And now they have a decision to make, right? Do I leave? Or do I stay because I'm terrified of what's going to happen if these people or this person isn't in my life anymore? And that's where teaching a child to be comfortable alone suddenly becomes incredibly important. Because there's a kid who can say, "You know what? I'll be okay." That's a powerful kid. That child can walk away. They don't have to beg somebody to like them. They don't have to completely change who they are just to fit in with a particular group of friends. And they don't have to tolerate somebody treating them badly just because they're scared that nobody else is going to come along. Right? They know they'll be okay. And the nice thing is, you don't have to wait until they're 16 or 17, to start teaching them this or start implementing or showing it. You can start when they're little. Let them be bored. Really. If your child comes up to you and says, I'm bored, just respond, okay, be bored. You don't have to fix it every single time. Right? You don't have to hand them a tablet. You definitely don't want to do that too much. You don't have to turn on the television for them, or, definitely you don't need to stop whatever you're doing right now and become their entertainment director. Sometimes you can just say, okay, figure something out. Because eventually they probably will. And something else happens when you do that. They start discovering what they actually like, not what their friends like, not what somebody on TikTok told them to like, and not what everybody else is doing. What they like. It might be reading, right? It might be drawing. It could be Legos, right? Or playing a musical instrument. It could be cooking. Maybe they want to cook dinner, or they'll learn how to cook. It could be working out. It could be writing. Really doesn't matter what it is. The activity is not the important part. The important part of this is that somewhere along the way, they start realizing, hey, I actually enjoy my own company. And here's another one. Don't automatically assume that something is wrong with your child if they just want to be alone sometimes. Right? Especially as they get older, because they're going to have a lot of thoughts and different experiences flowing through their heads. So if your teenager decides they don't want to go out one Friday night, or they want to stay in their room, it doesn't automatically mean something terrible has happened. Right? Maybe they just want to stay home. Or they might have had a long week at school or practice or whatever they're doing. Maybe they want to play a video game by themselves, or just watch a movie and chill. Right? Maybe they're perfectly fine. You want to keep watching, but maybe they're fine, right? Because being alone and being lonely are two completely different things. And that's what we need to teach children. And we really want to model it too. Let your children see you being comfortable alone. Because kids are always watching us. And they're going to model, or they're going to follow our example. We don't always need people calling us. If we have some situation where we always feel like we need to have somebody else to talk to or visit, or we need to always be doing something, they're going to pick up on that. But if they see you being able to sit alone, outside watching the birds, drinking a cup of coffee, reading, whatever you're doing, and being perfectly content, they'll pick that up. Right? That teaches them something. It teaches them that peace doesn't always have to come from another person. And eventually, your child's going to grow up. They're going to leave your home. And they're going to have friendships that end. They're going to have relationships that don't work out or go badly. They're going to get rejected. Right? There's going to be those Friday nights when nobody's calling, because that's life. And in those moments, for me at least, I want a kid that knows I'm still going to be okay. Right? We teach kids a lot about how to get along with other people, and we should. Right? We teach them to share, we teach them to cooperate, we teach them how to make friends, how to be respectful, how to disagree respectfully. We put them on teams. All of that matters. But there's something else in there. We also need to teach them, you don't need somebody standing beside you every second of your life, right? Just to know who you are. Love people, respect people, have great friends, build strong relationships, fall in love someday. Absolutely. But If the people around you start walking in a direction that you know you shouldn't be going, you need to be strong enough to stop, even if nobody else stops with you. And if you have to turn around and walk the other direction, even if it's by yourself, that's okay. Because I'd much rather raise a child who's comfortable standing alone than a child who's willing to become somebody they're not, just so that they'll have somebody standing beside them. That's not loneliness. That's confidence. It's independence, and that's strength. Raise lions, not lambs.